It's the start of 2023 and you're looking for a game to get before the Steam sales end. People are probably playing newer titles like Elden Ring, God of War, or Cyberpunk 2077. Not you though. You're looking for an older game to play. If you're into isometric RPG games with a little bit of kingdom management on the side, and when I say a little, I mean a lot, then Pathfinder Kingmaker just might be for you. This lore-rich, high fantasy setting game is sure to catch your attention and keep you going for at least 100 hours of gameplay. Vamayobra here, and today we're going to dive into Pathfinder Kingmaker and find out, is it worth playing in 2022? Just like my previous video on Solasta Crown of the Magister, we'll be dividing this game review into 3 parts: story, gameplay, and replayability. I'll do my best to squeeze in all the pros and cons I can think of in this video because this game is really big, but if you feel like I missed a few important points, don't hesitate to let us know in the comment section below. Hope you liked the video, and let's dive right in. Pathfinder Kingmaker was developed by Owlcat Games and published by Deep Silver. The game started as a Kickstarter back in 2017 and was fully released in 2018. Other notable releases by Owlcat Games are Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader and the sequel to this game, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, both of which I haven't played yet. Let's start with the story. The story starts in the mansion of a certain sword lord, Jamandi Aldori. Adventurers are called to cull the once free-for-all area called the Stolen Lands of bandits who have now built their stronghold there, terrorizing trade routes and outposts in the vicinity. Whoever slays the leader of the bandits becomes the new baron of the land. You meet a handful of unique and interesting characters as you make small talk with the fellow adventurers in the hall, and eventually, you decide it's time to head back to your chambers as there is the start of a long adventure for you at dawn. That evening, the mansion is ambushed by assassins. You're forced to fight through enemies and dead bodies while picking up a few familiar and friendly faces. At the end, you're caught in a huge brawl to save Jamandi and prevent them from killing her. After the fighting's done, one of your companions, Tartusio, sets you up as the spy who allowed the ambush to happen. Others think it might be you, others believe it's Tartusio. Nevertheless, Jamandi splits the remaining adventurers into 2 groups. Both will carry out the original mission, but will travel in different directions. This is in hopes to figure out who is the real spy during their travels. And with that, the 2 parties set off. Pretty cool intro, right? Well, there's a lot more in store for you after that. Notable NPCs in the game are fully voice acted, and they do an amazing job with the voice acting.
Their chief, who they call the Stag Lord, considers himself the rightful owner of these lands.
I will, of course. I'm the leader of this team, after all. Don't worry, though. I'll make it worth your while to help me.
You know what the trouble with most heroes' biographies is? They're always written years later.
Oh, it's you.
One look at their character portraits and one piece of dialogue is enough to determine what kind of personality they have. The art style of the game screams high fantasy with its vibrant colors, and the story has quite the pull too, keeping you interested while maintaining a sense of mystery. Storytelling is a bit direct. Follow the main quest and cutscenes will inform you of the main plot, but for those who want to dive deep into the lore, there are items in the game and dialogue they can exhaust to learn more about Kingmaker's world. Interactions with the world and NPCs may need you to succeed in skill checks, which are determined by character stats and dice rolls. This may decide whether or not you're able to distinguish an evil shrine to a certain deity, or fail a jump off from a breaking bridge and splash into a rushing river of cold water. There are plenty of choices to be made in Pathfinder Kingmaker's story, and some might seem more appealing than others. But be careful, as most choices have an impact on future encounters, and your companions will remember your choices as well. That's about it for the story. Let's move on to the next section, gameplay. Starting off with character creation, the game doesn't really give you too much freedom with the selection of how you look, but the game has a wide variety of portraits for you to choose from, some of which are owned by notable NPCs in the game. You may choose to create your own character or choose between a set of pre-made characters that have been integrated into the story. When creating your character, you get to choose your race, class, alignment, how you speak, and what skills to dump points into. There is a lot to go through here, so if you're a beginner or this is your first game in this genre, you'll probably get overwhelmed. I personally tried to stick with what I know in these games for the first playthrough, then experiment little by little from there. The character creation gets really technical, but you'll get through it with the help of your gut feeling and preferences. Map exploration is simple. You represent a movable piece on the map and you choose which direction to explore. As you move, you'll discover new points of interest, resource nodes, and random encounters. Traveling takes up time, and time is very essential in this game as the main objectives are always time-gated, meaning that you're either given a fixed amount of time to finish an objective or time to prepare for an upcoming battle. Use your time wisely. When you travel for too long, your party will experience fatigue and exhaustion, which lower your stats significantly. To remove these, you'll need to rest. Resting requires each of your party members to do an assigned task, such as hunting for food, cooking a meal, looking out for enemies, and camouflaging your camp. Success for these actions depend on the skill of your chosen party member and your dice rolls. I have to note that I think hunting food is bugged, since if you place a party member with a good enough hunting skill, it says it would take 0 hours to hunt, even though it would take anywhere from 4 to 18 hours anyway. You can also bypass hunting by bringing enough food rations for your party though. The gameplay mechanics are based off of the tabletop version of the game and plays very similarly to games like Pillars of Eternity, Baldur's Gate, and Tyranny to name a few. The game can be played in real time or can be switched to become turn-based. Playing in real time gives you the ability to pause and allow yourself to think and set up your next move, while turn-based mode makes it feel something more like Divinity Original Sin 2 or Solasta Crown of the Magister. During the beginning of combat, your party and enemies all roll for an initiative score, which determines who acts first. In turn-based combat, there's a feature called Delay Turn, which allows you to place that character's turn anywhere later in the turn order permanently. At first, I chose to use the turn-based mode since that's what I'm most familiar with, but I came to notice that Pathfinder's encounters and gameplay best suit real-time combat with pausing to help you cast spells and plan out your next move. Combat may seem overwhelming at first since you have to control multiple characters, each with their own unique set of abilities. But once you get the hang of it, it becomes really fun. While being fun, Kingmaker also does not hold your hand. For any first-timers out there will probably be times where you feel like encounters are imbalanced compared to the strength of your party. I want to say that I felt that too. There are encounters early on that even require you to use an item to beat an enemy, but the game doesn't do a great job at telling you this, so you'll probably come into that fight underprepared. You will save a lot in this game, or rather, you kind of have to, lest you load a save way before your current one, because the last time you saved was when you slept at the outpost, which was 30 minutes of in real life time ago. Save a lot. You'll thank me later. Now, if you thought that the gameplay we've talked about so far was a handful, you're in for a ride, because that's just half of it. That's right, folks. Kingmaker actually has another section of gameplay which is known as its kingdom management system, where you act as the Baron of a new land, slight spoiler there, and make decisions that would make or break your game. You actually have to dabble with politics in this game. Who do you side with? Those who have the same values as you, or those in power? Who do you deem more important? The common folk or the nobility? Who among your companions do you send to resolve conflicts, and are their personalities the right fit for how you want them resolved? If you love doing these things, then by all means, dive right in. Unfortunately, if you're like me, who suck at kingdom management, then you should know that if you fail too miserably at this part of this game, the game can actually end for you. Luckily enough, the developers actually placed in auto mode for kingdom management, which will ensure that your kingdom never fails at the expense of very limited access to kingdom decision making and the inability to access kingdom management related achievements. I put it on auto mode because the combat mechanics and the story were already a handful and I was not about to dive deeper into kingdom management, which could have been a totally different game in itself. A little bit too ambitious for my taste, but then again, I just may not be the right person for this. All in all, the combat feels satisfying once you get the basics down, and the game makes it a point that positioning matters, meaning that tanks stay up front and support and ranged characters stay at the back. Sometimes you lose an encounter, reload, try again, but actually have your tank up front and now you're suddenly able to beat the encounter easy peasy. The tactical aspect of the game is very evident and actually makes you think during encounters as opposed to mindlessly clicking on the enemy and hoping for the best. That's it for the gameplay section. This game is huge. If I missed anything so far or haven't mentioned something you're looking for, let us know in the comments section below and let's talk about it. Now we move on to the last part, replayability. Now as of making this video, I've clocked in around 38 hours into the game. I haven't finished it and I probably barely even made a scratch on it. You'll easily pour in 100 hours of gameplay into this on your first playthrough, and with the variety that this game has within its mechanics, story progression, and character creation, you could definitely go for another round without everything feeling too familiar. The characters I've made so far in this game have been pure builds, meaning my fighter is only a fighter, my barbarian is only a barbarian, and so on. The game actually lets you multi-class, which opens a whole new world when it comes to builds. There are a total of 16 classes to choose from, all of which have subclasses. Prestige classes are also present, which are classes whose requirements you first have to meet before being able to choose the class. Being able to mix and match classes to make your perfect party or just plain experiment for fun would definitely add quite a few more hours into this game. Choosing alignments would also change how you progress the story in minor ways. Some dialogue is only available to good, neutral, or evil characters. Your alignments and choices could also lead to starting out with different companions and probably gaining and losing certain members along the way. It might not merit a new playthrough in itself, but for the really curious bunch, it might just be enough to click on New Game again. This game also has 4 DLCs, which adds 1 class and whole new stories into the mix. I don't have them yet, but if you're itching for more adventure after beating the base game, the developers got you covered. All in all, replayability has unlimited potential, but for someone like me who really isn't super into games like this, especially the kingdom management part, 1 playthrough would probably be enough. Now to conclude, if Pathfinder Kingmaker is worth playing in 2022, I would tell you to wait for it to go on sale. I really love the fantasy genre and I'm a fan of playing tactical RPGs, Dungeons and Dragons, and all things medieval, but the kingdom management part of the game kind of sucked me out of the things that I enjoyed about the game. Honestly, I think the kingdom management could have been a whole separate game in itself. It's ambitious and I like it when developers try new things, but I just might not be the target market for this kind of game. Combat keeps you on your toes, characters are lovable with excellent voice acting, and the game mechanics and variety in builds contribute to unique experiences for each playthrough, so if you've played similar games before or are just a huge fan of high fantasy medieval tactical RPGs, go ahead and get this game. Again though, my recommendation is to get it on sale, just to be on the safe side. Thanks for making it through to the end of this video. If you enjoyed and found this video entertaining or informational, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. It really helps me a lot and I'd super appreciate the support. Let me know in the comment sections below how you feel about Pathfinder Kingmaker, and if you feel I missed something important again and wish to share it with us, comment down below and let's discuss about it. Thanks again for watching this video. Have a great day ahead.